This is Bucknell basketball on MyTV WQMY.
Good afternoon, friends. Joining you from Soika Pavilion on the campus of Bucknell University. Bison basketball this afternoon on MyTV, courtesy of our friends at Learfield IMG College. I'm Adam Marco. Alongside me, Hall of Famer Coach Pat Flannery, back for another season of Bison basketball. Coach, ready for some fun today? Let's first off look, though, at our starting lineups presented by the Daily Item. Last second change for Lehigh with Jake Betlow and Jacob Alamadoon entering the lineup. Marcus Wilson, Reed Fenton, and Nick Lynch. Lynch is a guy you're going to have to watch out for this afternoon, getting the starting five for Lehigh. For the Bison, Xander Rice, Andrew Funk, Walter Ellis, and Paul Newman. They've been around this season. It's the season debut for forward John Meeks, the 6'6" senior. Coach Nathan Davis and his squad, 0-4 so far to start this season. 1-3 for the Lehigh Mountain Hawks thus far for Dr. Brett Reed. Our officials today, Stephen Rupperall, Mikaranj Fleury, and Jim McMahon. Coach, 0-4 to start this year. Bucknell is going through almost a transition of sorts. Then again, aren't we all? With the COVID-19 and the 2020 year, things are very different when it comes to life and certainly college basketball. It is our pleasure to be alongside each other today, watching and having fun calling this game.
Yeah, this is unreal for folks that aren't here. I've watched a lot of game, but this is the first time I've been in person to see what this is like. And all these things are going through my head from coaching when you used to scrimmage and it's quiet and you're creating your own energy. Two things about tonight's ball game. I think Lehigh certainly, talking to Dr. Reed, he's made some lineup changes. I think there's a lot of individual things that will go on this season with different players because of the challenges. And for Bucknell, I look for with John Meeks back, it really should level off some of the anxiety, maybe some of the pressure that some of the kids feel at Bucknell, and I expect them to be able to play their roles a little bit more with a veteran like that back and their leader.
Last season, Lehigh went 11-21. The Bison were 14-20. They split the 2019-2020 meetings. Bucknell won here on the 18th of January last year, 72-56. Lehigh, 69-60 in the follow-up just about a week later. Opening tip controlled by the Bison, and we are underway. Bucknell donning their home whites, Lehigh in the road browns. Kick it to the right wing corner, shot for three is off the mark. John Meeks' first look of the year misses, and the rebound comes down to the Mountain Hawks.
Looked like they were going to get John involved right away, Adam, with a look to him to get him started.
Here's Nick Lynch. One dribble, pass off to Marcus Wilson. Wilson swinging around. That's Reed Fenton. Fenton finding Lynch. This will be a tough battle down in the paint no matter who it is. Nick Lynch, one of the best players in the Patriot League coming back, and certainly one of the leaders for Lehigh.
Well, with Lehigh, they're going to be methodical. They have to be. They're going to shoot a high percentage, or that's the way they're going to be in these ball games. I don't think there's rebounding as much as they have in the past. And I think that Lynch is certainly important, and Wilson will be the other scorer. And I think they're interchangeable, some of the other positions.
There's a touch foul called against Paul Newman. Lehigh maintains possession as the ball was also then flicked out of bounds. Off the right side. Reed Fenton, pass in, Alamadoon now finds Lynch trying to post up, spin around on Newman, no good. Rebound goes to Meeks. Bucknell will bring it back the other way. Xander Rice to Funk, now Newman down in the paint. Couple of dribbles, couple of shimmies, pivots around, and they'll get the travel called, give it back to Lehigh.
Both teams really trying to establish the inside play. I certainly think that's Brett and Nate as far as coaches and what their philosophy are. Starting a game, go inside out is the way both teams are going to be most effective.
You can see Coach Davis on the sideline. The benches are not what they used to be. Everything is spread out. No fans in attendance. Some cardboard cutouts of friends of the program, family members. Lynch, left-hand hook inside, no. Rebound. Flipped around and pulled in by Meeks. That's his second board. Still scoreless. About 90 seconds in. Xander Rice drives in. Pick up his dribble, and his shot goes errant. Rebound to Marcus Wilson. Take it down the middle of the paint. Look for a pass, no. Paul Newman, the board. Still scoreless. A couple of shots off the mark for each side so far. Rice will pick up his dribble, nearly take that extra step. Now Andrew Funk. Off to Meeks. Cuts baseline, stops, drives in, and they'll call him for a travel. John Meeks missed the first 4 games of the year, all Bucknell losses. It's been a rough start for the Bison. This is, as mentioned, a bit of a transition year. A couple of names that you've known from the last few years have graduated or moved on from the program. Some new faces we're going to see this afternoon, including an exciting transfer and a very young, tall freshman.
Yeah, there's certainly some excitement around the guys that are coming in off the bench, young kids for Bucknell, and at the same time, a guy like Andrew Funk, who he's even playing a little different role tonight. As good a player as he is from last year, as good a player as he is, it's a little different. It's his team, it's his time, and that's the kind of thing right there that Bucknell will get that will relax the rest of the players. John Meeks can score.
Great skip pass over top of the defense. The first basket of the game goes to John Meeks. 3-0 Bucknell in front, approaching the 17-minute mark here in the opening half.
A lot of set looks for Lehigh. I think that's the way they have to score. They don't break you down a lot individually, and Bucknell so far has really been well scouted.
Marcus Wilson off to Lynch in the right corner. The jumper is up, in and out, no good. Rebound, however, comes down to Alamadoun. He'll take it, spin it over top of the rim. Paul Newman with the board. That's 3 rebounds early for John Meeks, 2 boards already for Paul Newman. Meeks one-on-one with Lynch. Little fall away, no call, and the rebound back the other way, Jake Betlow. Betlow will try to drive past Rice, off the glass and in.
They're not a great rebounding team, Lehigh, so we're going to have to Bucknell's going to have to take advantage on the boards there. If they don't open up the floor, it'll be much to advantage, but opening the floor like that gave Lehigh a chance to get to the basket.
And a Rice to Walter Ellis in the left corner, banks it off the rim and in. Little kiss up into the air, gets the second 3.
So nice to be home to Soika.
6-2 in favor of the Bison. Bucknell is set to make its first change. Bounce pass to Lynch, rolls it over the rim, no. Rebound Andrew Funk. Little contact called, and we'll take a timeout on the floor. A couple of changes when we come back. An early 6-2 lead for the Bison. This is Bucknell basketball from Learfield IMG College on MyTV. An early 6-2 lead for the Bison here at Soika Pavilion. So happy to have you on for the fun today. Coach, we've got our first broadcast of the year, first chance to look at Bucknell on MyTV. Who do we look out for from the Bison this year?
Well, for the Bison, especially in this particular game and our first broadcast, they've been playing without John Meeks, very critical to the program, a veteran, a scorer. He really opens up the floor for everybody. And also a veteran, Andrew Funk. Andrew needs to score consistently, be able to knock it down. He really helps them on the perimeter. Plus, he's been around, so he's very aggressive, and he takes the ball to the hole.
Now, for Lehigh, we talked a little bit about Nick Lynch. He's that big body. He's back. Who else do you look out for from the Mountain Hawks this year?
Well, Wilson is a key to them, has been. He's a scorer. You saw early they're going to go to him and Lynch, and they're the guys that have really been the guys that Dr. Reed's going to look for, Coach Reed's going to really look for.
6-2 advantage, 15:45 to go here in the opening half. Deuce Turner onto the floor for the first time, one of those newcomers for Nathan Davis. Here's Meeks off the drive, left hand, left side, good. 5 points in the opening couple of minutes here for Meeks. Turner is an exciting young freshman from Coatesville, PA. 6'2", 181-pounder, one of the all-time leading scorers in Philadelphia history. The inter-AC all-time leading scorer and over 2,400 points in his high school career. See where he factors in. A Bucknell team searching for some offense. Shot's no good, back the other way, it's Turner. Right to the left, and a charge called. They'll get the youngster with the foul.
Yeah, being aggressive. You know, you get on the floor, you're out there, you're trying to make some things happen. Great weak side block there by Newman. And again, that's Wilson trying to score. He's got to be able to shoot the basketball for Lehigh.
Substitution for Bucknell as another one of the newcomers 7 foot, 230-pound freshman Andre Screen is in. 8-2 advantage, Lehigh with the basketball. Here's Betlow. Pass off to Jamiro Wilson. He checked in on that last break. Up under, and the ball tipped out. We'll get a foul called. Call Meeks with the personal.
When you change this early and the substitution, I think in this game, Bucknell goes deep. There are kids here now that have started early in the year, and I think Lehigh's, 7 or 8 deep that they have. And as I said, they're going to have to play half court. They've gotten some shots, missed a couple bunnies early, and Bucknell has really looked a little more comfortable. And again, I attributed that to some of their personalities change with having John Meeks on the floor.
Jalen Sinclair now in the game for Lehigh. Second free throw, no good. Inlet pass, screen. Just holds that ball over top of everyone. Turnaround jumper, no good. A rebound down into the hands of Evan Taylor off the bench for Lehigh. Drive in left hand, kick it left side. Taylor back to the top and around we go. Shots off the mark, rebound to Andrew Funk. 8-3 advantage, 6 minutes in. Around we go to the left side. Changes all around, in fact. Turner leaves it underneath, wave off the look inside, get a foul called.
It's been interesting, Adam, to see how both coaches, especially just 4 games in, take a little pressure off of some kids that have started. The Sinclair has been starting. He came in, looked a little more aggressive there. Probably something the coach is doing. On cue, there's Jake Vanweer, who's been playing and comes right in. It's a little different starting and coming in, and it's so early in the season that they're still trying to find their combinations.
Down in the paint, Dominic Parolin, and the charge called against Parolin.
Great defense.
Nice job planting the feet by Screen. Parolin from British Columbia. It's a Lehigh team that lost James Karnick. He went on to Boston College, of course, Bucknell. Jimmy Sotos now at Ohio State. Khalil Spear playing it in Pittsburgh at Robert Morris.
Yeah.
You'll have these changes with the program, and good thing for Coach Davis. He's young, he's got some freshmen coming in, but the chance to build something over the next few years. Here's Screen. Trying to back his way in on Parolin. Shot's no good. Rebound down into the hands of Taylor.
Lattimore to transfer from Stony Brook, played very well down at Lafayette. He's been around. They have a successful program, so it's great to have that kind of a kid to be able to be with you.
Great look through the defense. The shot no good from Taylor. Bucknell comes down with the basketball. That's Deuce Turner. Screen off to Funk. Funk bounce pass into Screen. Tries to throw it down, but gets contact on the way. Stops him from putting it home. He'll head to the free throw line for a couple.
Funk's perimeter game and his experience created that. They have to play him on the perimeter, and the way Bucknell spreads the floor from side to side, I think right now at the 12, 13-minute mark, Bucknell's doing a great job of going side to side. They're really stretching the floor, and they're creating problems for Lehigh, whereas Lehigh's a little more methodical on one side of the floor. They're trying to jam it in. They tried to jam it into to Lynch, and also a lot of ball is in Wilson's hands.
Andrew Funk has a seat. Walter Ellis is back in. Screen hits the first. Andre Screen, 7 foot, 230-pound freshman. 8.8 points per game so far this season. He's 50% from the line. Hit the first. Second half is up. No good.
Nice stroke, though.
Rebound down into the hands of Marcus Wilson. Taylor. Now Fenton. Back off to Jamiro Wilson. Good ball movement. Deuce Turner comes away with the Steelers. Latimer, 3-on-3 break, make it 4-on-3. Right side, Ellis around to Latimer. Off to Turner. Steps inside the line, tries to step into a foul. His shot's no good. Rebound Screen. Contact is there. It's swatted aside. Back the other way, Reed Fenton. Switches left hand. Fall away, in and out, no good. And the rebound to Latimer.
A lot of balls in and out down at this end, this first 8 minutes.
Off the left side, Latimer. Nearly ran into Vanderheiden. Now Ellis at the foul line, swinging around Turner. Turner inside to screen. Back out it goes, 5 to shoot for Bucknell, and the basketball is loose. Walter Ellis can't hold on to it, driving into the lane. Now off to Wilson. Marcus Wilson to Jamiro Wilson. Scoop shot left hand, rather to the right side, is in for 2. 4-point advantage for Bucknell. And a couple of early threes. Here's Screen trying the baseline, looking to back down Parolin, and will take a step.
They're really making an effort to go inside. I think every time down now, Andre Screen, what he does out of that is going to be important.
We'll take a timeout. 11:24 to go in the half. 4-point lead for Bucknell, presented by Learfield IMG College. Geisinger is proud to be the official sports medicine and orthopedics provider of the Bucknell Bison. It's part of our commitment to more than 40 university and high school athletic programs across Pennsylvania in communities we serve. Schedule an appointment at geisinger.org/sports. It's an early 9-5 lead for Bucknell. The shooting so far, Coach, has not been great. Bucknell is 27% from the floor. Lehigh, however, just 15% from the floor so far. That's where we look at this combined 14 points between the two teams.
Well, I guess we could look at it. The teams know each other. It's a league game. They battle. But at the same time, I think these have been shots that these teams are going to knock down. So I think it's going to pick up here, and we get it going end to end.
Lehigh with the basketball. It's Betlow. Off to Taylor. Now run the weave near midcourt. Wilson. Back off to Betlow for 3. It's short, front side of the rim. Rebound tipped by Screen and picked up by Xander Rice. Rice, the sophomore from New Jersey. Foul called here against Bucknell. Rice on the charge.
You can tell how important, Adam, rebounding is for this Lehigh team. I just don't think they're big enough. They're going to have some problems this year in the league, and I say that because on every one of their shots, they're getting back to try to get the transition defense. And Lehigh team in the past at times is really going to the boards, so they're going to have to shoot a high percentage.
There's a turnover. Parolin looked away. The ball picked up by Bucknell, but given right back. And the shot falls for Taylor.
Evan Taylor.
You talk about the rebounding for Lehigh. In their first 4 games this year, they're being out-rebounded as a team by 6. 36 on average per game for the opposition against just under 30, 29.5 for Lehigh so far. That's been a consistent issue for Coach Reed.
Well, the games I've seen and watching a lot of these teams, particularly Navy, I throw to Lafayette, Lehigh. They both play twice. That's a backyard brawl. You can't get a whole lot from that because those teams they go at each other. But the Navy game, I was surprised. As I said, Navy really got them on the glass, and it's not effort or anything. It's just their style of play this year is such that they just don't have as many kids on the board. But they should be a better team offensively in the sense that they spread the ball around and they have a high percentage of shots.
Latimer off to Rice. Down to a 2-point advantage. Inlet look for Newman. Off the glass, no. Rebound goes to Taylor. Now Lehigh with a chance to take the lead. Fenton around the perimeter to Betlow. Inlet looking for Nick Lynch. He replaced Dominic Parolin, who picked up his 2nd personal. Back to the top. Strong pass, mishandled, but good recovery by Fenton. Here's Lynch, a shot to tie it. First pass of the game for Nick Lynch.
You got that little right-handed hook shot, and he also has that 15-footer. They're his strengths, and they're really look for him.
One of their leading scorers this season. 2 players for Lehigh averaging over 18 points per game, including Lynch and Marcus Wilson. And their team's leading scorer gets his first basket 10 minutes and 10 seconds in.
Yeah.
Latimer checks out. Andrew Funk is back in for Bucknell.
I think a lot of teams playing Bucknell, Adam, watching the Lafayette and watching the Navy games, is Coach Davis plays a lot of guys, and you have to match their personnel. And so there's a lot of kids that are, going back and forth and getting some playing time that maybe in a more methodical game wouldn't get as much time. So these matchups are really interesting.
Basket good for Funk on the dribble drive penetration. Back to a 2-point edge for the Bison. Lehigh looking to answer and does. That's Marcus Wilson. Rice, leave it off for Newman. Now Ellis. Inlet tipped. Newman saves it before falling out of bounds. Swinging around. It's Andrew Funk for three. Got it.
Big three.
Three-point edge. Here's Marcus Wilson, kick it cross court. Errantly, but still picked up by Fenton. Taylor back to the top of the key. Open look for three to tie it. No good. That's a battle between Lynch and Walter Ellis. Ellis, a nice job, outsized by Lynch, but put some pressure on him. Back the other way, Bucknell for a three. Got it home. Xander Rice with his first points of the game. 6-point advantage for the Bison.
Lynch thought he's going to get a little ducky, and Ellis is so long, and it really let them run out in transition. And Lehigh's going to have to get back half court in order to stop Bucknell. They just shoot the ball too well.
Ladoon, swing it around to the right corner. Wilson drives. His pass is tipped.
Great recovery.
Lynch back down by Paul Newman. Turnover for Lehigh. Ellis skip pass over the defense. Funk, that same spot for three. No, back around we go. Ellis for three off the rim. Ladoon the board. Ladoon drives, loses possession, gets it back. 17-11, an early advantage here for Bucknell. Matches their largest lead of the game. We'll take a quick timeout. 17-11, Bucknell in front. Bucknell basketball from Learfield IMG College on MyTV. Bison fans, don't miss out on your opportunity to be here in the stands at Soika Pavilion this season. You can support the Bison's programs and help keep Soika the great home court advantage that it's always been for 18 years now. The home court advantage has always been by purchasing your own personalized fan cutout. Cutouts are $50. All proceeds benefit the men's and women's basketball program. Visit bucknellbison.com for more information today. It is a different atmosphere across the Patriot League this season. The schedule has changed. You're playing a home and home, or sometimes 2 straight games over the course of the weekend on the road. You take a look at the standings, and this is a little change this year because of COVID-19 and how they had to adjust for scheduling. But Coach, now you're looking at a North, a Central, and a South division within the Patriot League, really focusing on playing your division. You're going to get some outside games, but it really helps minimize travel. You try to minimize contact across the league. The restrictions placed have been immense for players to even participate in this season. You know, it's miraculous that we're here today witnessing college basketball.
Well, it truly is, and what the league has done and what the administrations have done in being able to have a Patriot League and to do the divisions, they've done everything for protocol, no overnights, travel. But boy, there's a whole series of things that go into this. Fans, travel, how the kids react, what the matchups are going to be from 2 games, next day games. That's all a challenge for these coaches that haven't gone through, and the players that haven't gone through that before. And there's a whole series of challenges that comes with that. But you know what, Adam? They're playing basketball, and that's all anybody wants to do. Except be healthy.
Another change I noticed is the dress code for the coaches.
Yeah, they look comfortable,
A little
don't they?
casual here.
Yeah, might have been able to stick around in a little longer. That looks really nice down there.
Lehigh shot no good. Rebound Taylor, who's put back off the glass left hand to the left side. Good.
That's too easy. That's too easy. They had it right where they want them.
4 points, 3 rebounds for Evan Taylor. Down to a 4-point advantage, and Bucknell will give it back again with another turnover.
I wonder, Adam, if this will become a thing. My wife and the ladies in my life used to always say, why do you guys wear suits and ties? When you see these other sports, they look so comfortable in football and all. So maybe this will become a thing.
Tell that to baseball managers who are wearing the uniforms that their players do. It's no longer the era of Connie Mack with suits in the dugout.
Right.
17-13, Lehigh with the basketball. A little trouble with the handle, but Lynch will help Wilson out. Taylor has been hot as of late. His shot this time no good. A rebound to Meeks. That's his 4th board so far here in the half.
Well, Lehigh's hanging there with this. Wilson and Lynch are 2 for 11 at this point, which to be down 4, they got to feel good. But at the same time, there's a nice flow with Bucknell. They're really getting some. They're
charge against Deuce Turner.
Yeah, mistake there. Yeah, he's aggressive, goes to the glass. But I like what they're flowing. There's touches. They're going inside. They're outside. They got to knock down these shots. But they're playing to the strengths we talked about, Adam, at the very beginning, and it's playing out that way.
John Meeks will check out.
Sinclair's limping a little bit. I think maybe that's why he came off the bench today. But again, these injuries is another thing that really affects the team because of back-to-back, because you just don't have time to prepare if something does happen to your players, much like John Meeks.
Under 6 to go here in the opening half. Ladoon to Lynch. Around the perimeter we go. Leave it off for Marcus Wilson. Jamiral. Back out to Lynch, and he'll hit it. 4 points so far for Nick Lynch. A 2-point edge for the Bison. Funk off to Turner. Swinging right side. Vanderheiden, the lefty for 3 is good.
Big. That's big. He has such a beautiful stroke. He needs to have the confidence to be able to make that in a ball game.
5th 3-pointer this afternoon for the Bison. They're 5 of 8 from 3-point range. Good pivot. Newman trying for the tie-up and will get it. Gets that hand in there. Lehigh maintains possession. A couple of changes here. Screen in, Newman out. Turner to the bench, Xander Rice back in. Five-point advantage. Bucknell is led by at most 6. Lehigh has not yet had an advantage in this game. Pivot around. Wilson pivots again, one way, then the other, and then off the glass and in. 5 points for Jamiral Wilson.
Lehigh's always, Adam, had tough teams under Coach Reed. They really try to smash you and get after you. And here's an example of Andrew Funk. How many 20-point games did he have last year? He's a big-time scorer. He's finding his rhythm. And he's hard to find right now. There's a lot of Bucknell players out there, and they're sharing the ball tremendously.
8 points to lead all scorers for Andrew Funk. Just hit his second 3 of the game. Back to a 6-point lead. Good ball fake by Taylor. Shakes off his defender. Can't hit the open look. And a foul called here against Nick Lynch.
Tough to go over the back of a 7-footer if I'm Nick Lynch. I think you're going to get that called on you every time.
Lynch will head to the bench.
Where they're really going small now.
We've got both Parolin and Lynch on the side. You bring Reed Fenton back in. Andre screen to the free throw line. 1 for 2 from the stripe so far. It's the only Bison to shoot free throws so far today. Front half of the 1-on-1 is good. .405 remaining here in the opening half. Now the largest lead for Bucknell. Screen started both games against Navy to open the season, off the bench the last 2. Scored 8 in his season and career debut, his collegiate debut, and then 11 the next day. Got them both 25-17. Wilson to Amaladoon. Fenton works it off to Marcus Wilson. Amaladoon 2 steps and then called for the travel on the 3rd. Timeout on the floor. Bucknell has the advantage. We're back in a moment on Learfield IMG College, presented by MyTV. There's a reason why you come here. With every visit, we embrace our customers like family. We're the name you've trusted for over 33 years. Fairfield isn't just any dealership, we're the area's most trusted dealership. Fairfield, for fantastic deals, you're going to love us. 25-17, the advantage for the Bison here in the opening half of play. You see the first portion of this schedule, 0-4 in Patriot League play for Bucknell. A couple of losses against Navy, then against Lafayette. That Central Division is where those Lafayette losses might come into play. Lafayette's 3-1 within the division. Lehigh's 1-1, and Bucknell at 0-2 in divisional play. You'll see a lot of closer matchups, regional matchups that limit the travel, that allow these student athletes to do the important things. Classes will pick up next month. Students will be back on campus as they were in the fall. They've gone through so much to try to play basketball. They get tested quite consistently, and the schedule can change at a moment's notice going into a Saturday or a Sunday based on any testing of their opponent.
They're getting tested that night before, Adam. All it has to do is come up, and they have to change it. Even on the non-conference schedule that the Patriot League didn't play, there was teams calling other teams, and they were getting games because a game was canceled. Guys just want to play.
Outside shot for Funk. Three-pointer, no. Rebound tipped around a long board all the way back to midcourt, corralled by Ellis.
I haven't seen much of Ben Yu. Coaches trying to find things.
Xander
Well, they got
Rice
a nice rhythm. Nice rhythm, as I said. There's no doubt about Bucknell's perimeter game. If they get going from the perimeter, they can shoot the basketball.
Say this much, they're loading up on our Duncan threes from the first half.
Right.
Bison have just hit their 7th three-pointer here in the opening half of play. Good penetration, but the shot still won't fall. Screen with the board. Funk wanted it, got it later than he actually needed it. Gets it back, has that look for a three. Now Rice. No good.
They just play a little unselfish. I don't think anybody can zone them up. They've got to get penetration.
11-point edge outside. Fenton works it into Amaladoon, backing down screen. Leave it outside. Reed Fenton for three. Off the rim, no, and the rebound to Xander Rice. First board for Rice. Here's Funk for three. Lost his man, shot's no good. The rebound tipped and over the back call. Jake Vanderheiden picks up his first. Team's sixth. There's Miles Latimer. Latimer's a transfer from Stony Brook. Lost a couple of players because of graduation. Avi Toomer, Bruce Moore. You're going to reload every year, but this is a very intriguing incoming class for Coach Davis between the freshmen like Screen and Turner, and then Lattimore coming from Stony Brook.
Yeah, and Lattimore comes from a winning program, and don't underestimate that, whether it's the high school or where you're at. He's come from Stony Brook, has been very good, so he's been around it a little bit. That's nice experience to have.
Here's Ellis for three. No, Latimer tries to slap that
like
rebound
he shot
out.
that too fast.
Didn't quite have the right line on it. Here's a charge called.
Yeah, they're really
Marcus
struggling
Wilson
to score.
Timeout taken on the floor, 28-17, the advantage. Bucknell in front.
You know, again, Adam, we were talking about the back-to-back games and the way the schedule is set up right now. You know, as a program, you get ready for who you're going to play, and a lot of times they say it's what you do and how well you do it. When you're playing those back-to-back, there's been a lot of swings where I've seen different leagues where somebody beats somebody by 40 and they come back the next day and it's a 5-point victory. I think there's a lot of things that go into that, but one of them is, in basketball, you got to play offense and defense. You get to know each other. And I think there's always that factor. If you're competitive at all and you get kicked one day, you're going to come back. You're going to come back aggressive the next day. You're going to come back ready to play. You want to prove it. And I really think that says a lot about all student athletes of what goes into that. That you really, really just want to be able to compete. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
Back to action. 11-point lead for Bucknell. Inlet pass to screen. Pressure all around him, no foul call. The rebound down into the hands of Lehigh, and then Screen frustrated he didn't get the call to send him to the line. Will commit a foul and send it back the other way for a 1-on-1 for Lehigh.
Boy, but that kid's Screen is impressive. Even with that foul, he went after the basket and followed it and chased the ball down. I really like his aggressiveness, the way he runs. He has a nice touch. And, you can watch practices, but until you're into the game, and he has a nice swagger about him in a ball game. He has a nice feel for the game. Impressive young man.
Couple of shots at the free throw line here for Lehigh. That's Ben Lee from Manhattan, New York. This is a very different atmosphere on game day this year than it was, every other year for the last 18 at Soika. You see the cutouts around the arena here. You have a chance to be one of those cutouts with $50, proceeds benefiting the men's and women's basketball program. But Coach, we would be battling the students. We would be talking up against the pep band. The atmosphere of college basketball has changed a lot this year. Teams across sports, professional or amateur, are doing these cutouts. They're your way to support fans. They did it during baseball. They're doing it in European soccer. Yeah. So this is unique to the circumstances of the era we're living in, but the dynamic of playing college sports, huge block here by Screen, knocked out. The dynamic of playing a home game is completely different this year.
Yeah. Well, just look at the help side from Screen. Ellis playing good D. Wilson is in the worst way trying to score. He has to for Lehigh. So in that particular play, Bucknell knows exactly what's coming down to shoot, especially when Lynch isn't in the game. They just don't have another scorer.
Ben Lee to inbound. Finds Reed Fenton. 15 to shoot. 42 seconds to go here in the half. Lee, turnaround, shots no good, rebound Newman. Slight differential between the shot clock and the game clock, and Bucknell will take a timeout. Nathan Davis using this opportunity to put John Meeks back on the floor. It's a 30-19 advantage in favor of Bucknell. Geisinger, proud to be the official sports medicine and orthopedics provider of the Bucknell Bison. It's part of our commitment to more than 40 university and high school athletic programs across Pennsylvania in the communities that we serve. Schedule an appointment at geisinger.org/sports. 11-point lead, the largest of the game for Bucknell, 30-19. I'm thinking with all of these free throws, Coach, the dynamic of how this changes. You have students waving at the opposing team. I think it affects the mentality. Yes, you're home, but it's a different home atmosphere that you don't have that support behind you that you typically would. You have the comforts of home, but you're lacking that enthusiasm.
They're kids, the highs and the lows, the energy from your crowd at home just gets you going. That's why they say kids are gamers and kids can change their personality. Now, Lehigh changed up and went zone here. I'm sure Coach Davis had a call for either one, but this is something that they'll run at the end of a ball game. They're trying to practice something here besides get a basket.
Rice drives, leave it outside. Ellis, as the shot clock expired, there's still 5 seconds left, 5.5 left on the game clock. So Bucknell ran the offense, just didn't get the right look or didn't get the best shot off.
Yeah, they didn't get a great shot. It seemed to me like they thought they had the full 30, and there was actually, seconds gone. Now here's again, you got to watch this because you see what they run at the end.
Shot for three, no good. Rebound into the hands of Ellis, and that'll do it for the first half. 30-19, Bucknell in front. They were hot from three-point range, and that paced them to this 11-point advantage at the break. Bucknell in front from Learfield IMG College on MyTV.
We are at halftime of today's game, and joining me right now is the Bucknell women's head coach, Trevor Woodruff, in his second year with the Bison. And Coach, you couldn't ask for a better start as you played today against Lehigh at Lehigh. You're 4-0 going in. What's going right for you?
Well, hi, Bob. How are you? Happy New Year. Good to see you. We have a veteran club. We've got 4 seniors and 2 juniors that have played a lot of basketball, a lot of championship level basketball. So I think in a season like this, it's so truncated and no preseason game, non-conference games, that it's been a big benefit. And so we've been able to, maybe get up to speed quicker than some other folks who have more younger players in the mix. So I think that's been the key, just the veteran nature of our team and their ability to pick things up quickly. Most of it's review. It's not new. So we've been fortunate in that regard.
You mentioned some new scorers. Who has stepped up and who's playing well for you?
Well, I think obviously Tessa Brugler was an all-conference player last year. She's continued to be continued to play at that level. Abby Cap, who was preseason all-conference player this year and an all-conference player last year, has, had some big moments. She had 7 threes in our first game down at Lafayette. And then really the person who has elevated in terms of numbers is Taylor O'Brien, who was a good player for us last year. I thought at the end of last year was playing at an all-conference level, and certainly to start this year, she has. So, they've been our 3 biggest scorers, rebounders, our numbers people, but we really do have a deep roster of talented players, and on any given night, there's 4, 5, 6 different people who could put up a big number.
Of course, in the Patriot League now, you're playing back-to-back games. You have Lehigh this weekend. You'll be back in Soika on Sunday, taking on Lehigh and going forward. What do you want to see? How have you adjusted to those back-to-back games, and what do you want to see from your team going forward?
Well, we've got a heck of a challenge. Lehigh's one of the best shooting teams in the country. They made 16 threes in their last game, which tied the conference record. So we really got our hands full. We're looking to just continue to improve. Obviously, we want to be good enough on each individual day to win that day, but the ultimate goal is to get a little bit better every day.
I know you're doing coach talk to me, Trevor, because I've known you for a long time, but your defense is pretty good too. I think you're tops in Division I in points allowed. I mean,
Yeah.
You've got to give yourself some credit.
Well, as anytime you're in leadership, you take more than your fair share of the blame and less than your fair share of the credit, maybe. I think we have good, strong foundational components to our defense, but more importantly, we have really good people doing it. And they've bought in. I think probably the best thing we did in year 1 is just lay the foundation for what we want our identity to be. And that's a tough, smart, together group. And if you have a defense that has those characteristics and you're willing to do it every day, you got a chance to be good. And so far we have, like you said, I think our 3-point defense is number 1 in the country. I think points allowed, we're top 1, 2, 3, something like that. So the numbers, it's a small sample size with just 4 games. But I think if the trend continues, we're going to be a really tough defensive team, which gives you a chance to win every night.
Trevor Woodruff, the Bucknell women's coach, who just picked up his career 300 win as a coach at several different locations. Misericordia University, one of them, and the University of Scranton Lady Royals added in there, and now with Bucknell. On the road with Lehigh, back home tomorrow again, as I said, at Soika, taking on Lehigh as well. Trevor, good luck the rest of the season. And we will be right back here on MyTV WQMY. We are at halftime of today's Bucknell University men's basketball game, and joining me right now is the Director of Athletic Communications, John Terry. And John, we're going to talk about the Geisinger retired jersey wall, which is relatively new to Soika Pavilion.
Yeah, that's right, Bob. It's a beautiful new addition, the Geisinger retired jersey wall, which was constructed last year and was unveiled in February when we retired Mike Muscala, who became the 5th Bucknell student athlete to have his jersey retired last year in a great ceremony. Mike's in the NBA right now, so as a lot of folks know.
I'm going to put you on the spot. So how many jerseys are up there, and who currently has their jersey retired on the Geisinger jersey wall?
Okay, so there's 5 now. And the original retired jersey is a name that many folks in your viewing area will know. It's Hal Danzig, who played at Bucknell in the 1950s and was a great center on some very good Bucknell teams back there. Hal Danzig owns some rebounding records that will never, ever be broken at Bucknell. A little bit different era of basketball, but Hal was just a tremendous player. He's about a 6'6" center. So the concept of that these days in modern basketball is a little bit tough to fathom, but he was one of the biggest players on the court and just as tough as nails, and one of the great rebounders, not just in Bucknell history, but in NCAA history. And the name Danzig, if it sounds familiar, his son Carl, who is a longtime assistant coach under Charlie Woolham here at Bucknell, has gone on to do great things as the head coach at Scranton up in your area. So that name Danzig, I'm sure, rings very familiar in our area here in northeastern Pennsylvania. Another name from the 1980s who was a star player at Bucknell is Al Leslie. Al was a tremendous scorer, scored over 1,900 points playing for Charlie Woolham in the late 70s, early 80s. Magnificent player. He's the highest drafted Bucknell player ever taken in the NBA. He was the 44th pick in the NBA draft by the Pacers. Unfortunately, had an injury before he could really make it, and never actually got into a game in the NBA due to that injury. But Al was just a tremendous player. And then Al was back on campus with us, and he actually pulled the curtain on the new display last year when we unveiled Mike Muscalis last year. And those who have seen Bucknell play in the last decade or so obviously know Mike, a 6'11" center, just a dominant player. And Mike actually became the all-time leading scorer at Bucknell, surpassing Al Leslie's scoring record. And then two women as well who combined for about 4,500 points during their incredible careers at Bucknell. Jennifer Walls, who played in the late 80s on some very good teams, was just a dynamite scorer, averaged over 20 points per game. And then Molly Creamer, from a little bit more recently in the early 2000s, was just an incredible scorer, led the conference in both scoring and assists 4 straight years. She was a 3-time conference player of the year, and led Bucknell to our first NCAA tournament on the women's side in school history. So 5 great names.
Absolutely. And hopefully when you can get fans back at Soika Pavilion, they can go over and see that display if you're visiting there. It's a great place, a great venue to watch the game. Might not be this year, John, right? But hopefully, cross your fingers, you get fans back for next season. So again, that's the Geisinger jersey retired wall. It's at Soika Pavilion. John Terry, Director of Athletic Communications, joining us here for Bucknell basketball. When we return, we'll have more men's basketball here on MyTV, WQMY.
30-19 at Soika here at halftime. Bucknell has the advantage. It was hot shooting from three-point range. The big story of that first half for the Bison. 7 of 14 from three-point range. And, oh, by the way, that's a big day for the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. Duncan is partnering with Bucknell. 3 pounds of coffee for every three-pointer made at Soika. 7 from the first half. We're off to a very good start to this day with still 20 minutes of basketball left to go. 7 of 14 from three-point range, 21 pounds of coffee to the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, courtesy of our great friends at Duncan. Coach, 38% from the field in the first half for Bucknell. I think if I told you that, what would you be, like 50-50 we're going to win this game? But then you look at the other side and you see 25% from the floor. That's a problem for Lehigh.
Well, there's no Dunkin' Donuts going down or Dunkin' Coffee going down to Bethlehem right now because I think it's goose eggs. I'm not sure they've made a 3. But I still think going into this half, Lehigh will do what they've been doing. They missed some easy ones in close. Bucknell's played them well. And I like Bucknell's rhythm. Those 3s that they made, the 7 of the 14, they took them in rhythm. They took them off of penetration. And that's the way you want to shoot the basketball if you're Bucknell. So I don't see a whole lot's going to change in the second half. It's just a matter of who's going to execute what they want to do a little bit better.
Before we move on, let's look back the first half highlights. It was a strong first half from outside the perimeter. It wasn't the best start from either team. It took us a while to get into rhythm, to find some range. But you see Andrew Funk getting on the board in his first game of the season, or rather John Meeks getting on the board. Andrew Funk hit a couple of 3s, a first half high of 10 points for Andrew Funk. We know about Meeks. We know the presence that he brings back to this team. You really like Andrew Funk as a player who has to be that secondary, that complementary role.
Yeah, and I think with Screen and with Meeks in there, he just looks so much more comfortable. I also like what Bucknell, you're looking at the highlights with Andre Screen. He's really a change factor inside there. I mean, not that Paul Newman does the same thing for them, but he's just bigger. He's more athletic. And you're not just going to take the ball to the basket, and that's where Lehigh has to score. They have to score in tight. So let's see what happens here.
The Mountain Hawks 0 for 7 from three-point range in the opening half. Well, tipped away, loose, but a foul called. That first foul very quickly here in the second half to Marcus Wilson. That'll be his first personal. 30-19 as we are just 9 seconds into the second half. Rice to Meeks, off to Funk. He'll back off, lose this defender, swing it around. Rice. Meeks has the ball tipped into the backcourt. Ellis will bring it back over. 6 to shoot for the Bison. Little crossover, ball loose. Ellis to Meeks. Time winding down, off the mark, no good. Didn't find the rim, and a violation.
Yeah, tough possession. Looks like what Lehigh did automatically to start this half. They're trying to push their dribblers out. In the first half, they were on their heels a little bit. They're trying to push them out a little bit further and make Bucknell handle on the perimeter.
Here's Betlow. Off to Fenton. Looking inside for Turley. We'll wave it off. Contact down inside.
Right to Lynch inside. They're going to try to establish him because he's a senior and he's captain and he's one of their leading scorers.
18.3 points per game for Nick Lynch in the first 4 games this season on average. In the first half, however, 4 points. Basket here, put him back on the board. Now inlet for Meeks, guarded by Amaladoun, into a double team and contact call. Amaladoun thought he held his ground, but the foul to be called.
Well, just like starting out, first possession, you see the ball didn't go out of Wilson's hands or Lynch. They were going to make one of those two were going to score for Lehigh. Vice versa, coming down, Bucknell was going to establish John Meeks right away. They isolate him on the side. He's a handful over there, and he can score in a lot of different ways.
Meeks at the line, first free throw is good. Between Marcus Wilson and Nick Lynch, that's over 36 points per game. In the first half, they combined for 6.
And not only was it 6, but I think the percentage was 2 for maybe 14 or something like that. And that really hurts you because that means somebody else isn't taking them, taking shots. But that's your guys, and Lehigh's known for running their stuff and playing hard.
Turnover by Nick Lynch. Wasn't trying to go behind the back, but did. Here's Ellis on the right side for 3. Hits the rim, no good. Rebound, Amaladoun. Mountain Hawks bring it back the other way. Betlow passes past Lynch, past Fenton to his own bench.
Yeah, that's a mistake on Lehigh's shooter, Adam. I love this vantage point from up here as opposed to being on the floor where I still get a little wound up being that close to the situation. But that's a great penetration, and the shooter didn't move to the open area. He just stood there flat-footed. So that's a turnover on the point guard, but really the shooter is the guy that should get that turnover.
Coach, you're going to get wound up no matter where we are. Drive the baseline and contact call, and Amaladoun's going to pick up another.
But now we really have to be careful of is standing around watching John Meeks play, though. They're excited to have him back. He's a heck of a player, and you can't just watch him play. And again, that's not what they're doing, but as far as where they're going to be good at is when their rhythm has John Meeks as part of that, and they're not watching him. And when they do, they're hard to guard. You're gonna have to pick your poison.
Meeks last year, 3rd team All-Patriot League. Shot here falls. In 2019-2020, team's 3rd leading scorer, 11.2 points per game. Leading rebounder with just over 5 per game. Shooting 45% from the floor. Left side, Betlow looking into Lynch. Lynch had great positioning there on Newman.
Yeah, and that's the part again where Lehigh, we've been talking about this. They run Lynch on a circle. Everything they run is for him to go weak side block to strong side and punch it in, and their guards play off of him.
Ellis to Meeks. Left hand finger roll is there for 2. John Meeks show here in the opening couple of minutes of the second half.
Sure is. Where he's going to play at this end of the floor, it'll be interesting to see who he's going to guard on the perimeter.
Lynch guarded by Newman. Leave it outside. Wilson drive, flip it right into the hands of Funk. Funk up the floor to Meeks. Meeks had to get hung up in his body, tipped in, and will fall. Paul Newman there for the rebound, his first basket of the game.
And the reason there was a basket was it was just great hustle from end to end. He was on the defensive end of the play. He followed it up on the offensive end. That's just playing through the possession.
Wilson Guarded by Rice. Off to Fenton.
Played that much better that time.
Wilson now to the right corner. Drives in with the left hand, leave it off for Lynch, and he has it tipped out of his hands. A foul is called. It's that positioning for Nick Lynch. He's finding a good spot on Paul Newman right now, but the Mountain Hawks can't seem to find Lynch consistently in the right position.
Right, and also what's happening with Lynch right now is Bucknell's people they have on the floor are having to guard smaller people, so there's a lot of penetration. And with penetration, you saw a screen in the first half block a lot of shots. Well, now that's what Paul Newman has to do, and it takes you out of position. So the guards are really creating these opportunities for their center.
Andre's screen will come into the game.
You know, he's a lot thicker, Adam, in person, as you look at Andrew's screen. I mean, I knew about this young 7-footer and all, I've seen him practice and all, but he's a little thicker than he looked, than people give him credit for. He has a good body.
So the substitution was Newman out and screen in. We'll see how the freshman handles Nick Lynch.
Meeks and screen together is going to be the key to see how they play together, because somebody's going to have to play in the perimeter.
Turnover by the Bison, outside, shot for three. Wilson, good.
There's one. It's their first one. I hope it doesn't open up the can.
First three-pointer hit in this game for Lehigh.
So there's a pound of Duncan going down.
Meeks on the baseline, turnover here. Back-to-back turnovers by Bucknell. A couple of substitutions as Ellis heads out. Xander Rice to the bench. Latimer and Deuce Turner back in.
Again, I like that isolation and not being critical. I like the way they're isolating Meeks, but again, if you're the best player and you've scored a few times, you got to give the defense a little credit. And they're gonna close down on him. Now they're trying to take it at him on the perimeter.
Jamiro Wilson on the baseline draws the contact from Meeks. See if John comes out now. He will. Jake Vanderheiden is in. Still a double-digit advantage at 37-27. Off the right, Reed Fenton for three. Shot's no good. Rebound screen, and Nick Lynch just basically gave it up. Didn't try to fight screen for the board. Nearly a step. Here's Latimer. Draws a double team, left corner. Vanderheiden for three. Got it!
He just should stand there all day and jump up and shoot that. It's so beauty. When he gets movement is when he struggles.
Back to a 13-point edge. Wilson to Wilson. Marcus Wilson, follow-away jumper is good. Jake Vanderheiden, 6'9", 225-pound sophomore, shot for three. The other side, Miles Latimer hits.
Heat check. They're feeling it.
And with that, a timeout taken by Lehigh. 43-29, 15-10 remaining here. Bucknell in front. This is Bison basketball from Learfield IMG College on MyTV. Geisinger is proud to be the official sports medicine and orthopedics provider of the Bucknell Bison. It's part of our commitment to more than 40 university and high school athletic programs across Pennsylvania in the communities that we serve. Schedule an appointment at geisinger.org/sports. 43-29, joining you from Soika Pavilion. Just yesterday, Coach, this fine facility celebrated its 18th birthday. Now,
is that real?
It's
wow.
A different year. We don't have fans here to celebrate it this time through. These cutouts of fans supporting their favorite program. You were here as this facility opened nearly a couple decades ago. What does it mean to have this kind of facility for a program like this?
Well, for the old timers that are listening to this, they'll say, "Oh, Lynch, or the old Davis Gym was the place to be," and it was magical. It was a wonderful place. But in this day and age of recruiting, and this day and age of social media, there's not a finer facility for a mid-level one. And when they built it, when Pavlechko and these guys built this place, they thought about everything. It's a state-of-the-art for the men and the women, quite honestly. But what a what a place to be able to recruit to. And, you know, it's why all the stations and why a lot of the league games are here, because it's just a great place to see a game.
Good turnaround from Wilson, gets the basket to fall. That goes to Jamiro Wilson. Bucknell tries to answer and does. You know, college basketball, for every student athlete out there, we also miss all of those fans that aren't here. We miss the student section that provides a little authority of their own for their home team, for their students, for their student athletes. It is a very different dynamic, 2020, 2021, what year this is for basketball versus what we were for decades.
What really hit me as we're watching the Bison on offense is that to start the second half, as they came out of the locker room, I was watching the kids walking out. And again, I haven't been seeing a lot of games live, but I see a lot of games on, you know, on the tube. And as you watch them walk out, Adam, I saw Lehigh and I saw Bucknell, and you're walking out of that locker room to the second half, and there's no noise, there's no band, there's no kids slapping you as you come through the tunnel. And there's a lot tougher things in life for a lot of people, and I get that. And you know, we really have to be supportive of each other, I guess. But as a pure basketball conversation, I just can't imagine what it's like coming out of the locker room and there's nobody there.
It's one of those things we have to look forward to. The advantage for Bucknell is 14, presented by Learfield IMG College on MyTV. There's a reason why you come here. With every visit, we embrace our customers like family. We're the name you've trusted for over 33 years. Fairfield isn't just any dealership, we're the area's most trusted dealership. Fairfield, for fantastic deals, you're going to love us. 45-31, Bucknell has the advantage. Coming up tomorrow, these teams will run it back, take it down the road to Lehigh. See how that follows up. Then Colgate, then a rematch of sorts. We're back here in just 2 weeks as Bucknell and Lehigh are back at Soika to close out the month. You see in February, and as we discussed earlier, this is the schedule. Whether this is the schedule is a different story because things are so much subject to change.
Flexible.
The women's program had to call an audible its very first weekend. And speaking of which, they're taking on Lehigh on the road today. They were down by 8 at the half. Got it within 4, but it's back to a 7-point lead. The Lady Mountain Hawks 49, Bucknell 42. That's still in the third quarter of play, so there's still time for Trevor Woodruff to make a run and pull that one out. But it's been a struggle not being able to make some shots for Bucknell. The women have started out 4-0 this year.
Yeah, they obviously have a very good team and talented. You know, one of the things with the schedule you talk about that you really miss is those, you know, those pregame meals and the time with the kids and all that. You're on the road, and when you're not, you know, when that's not happening, you really miss that part of it. I know my assistants really missed that those meals up at the powerhouse.
Shot and rebound, or rebound and shot for Ben Lee falls. 45-33, shot errant for Bucknell, and back the other way come the Mountain Hawks. Left corner Taylor, good drive pass screen, shake off a defender, shot's no good, screen with the rebound. Turner looked at the three, steps into his pass, Vanderheiden in the paint, tipped around, loose ball, turnover by Bucknell and a turnover by Lehigh. Some shoulder-to-shoulder contact there. Wilson and the youngster Turner. That's junior Jamiro Wilson at 6'7", 200, and Deuce Turner, 6'2", 181-pound freshman. Latimer to Vanderheiden. 4 off the bench right now, plus Andrew Funk from the starting lineup for the Bison. Lehigh into his zone, shot for 3, Funk nails it. Third 3 of the game for Andrew Funk.
Yeah, he's, you know, again, we talked about him at the beginning. He's a kind of kid. He does what he does it well. He competes every night. I really think when he doesn't have to do everything off the dribble, he's just such a great spot-up shooter.
Dominic Parolin back in. Nick Lynch is on the bench right now. Lee to Parolin. Little slide. It's away with it. Here's Ben Lee. Shot's no good. resets the shot clock. Perolin with the rebound. Taylor for three. Got it from the corner.
This kid's a sophomore, has a little bit to his game, this lefty. He has a good feel.
Here's Deuce Turner off the glass. Takes it the whole way.
He just has a nose for the basket. He's going to be something to watch the rest of his game. He's going to have to get used to the college game because that's going to get pinned. But boy, he has a nose to score.
Deuce Turner was an All-State player, 5A All-State player last year. On the other side, Lehigh answers.
Yeah.
Long pass up the floor. Vanderheiden to Funk. Funk in the corner. Has it tipped up in the air. Gets it back. Contact all around. And amongst the trees, Andrew Funk gets fouled on the floor. 50-38. The Bison in front. Take a timeout. Bucknell basketball from Learfield IMG College on MyTV. We'd like to take a moment to thank all of our local healthcare heroes featured in the Healthcare Heroes Corner here at Soika, and the healthcare heroes around the world for being on the front line during this pandemic. 2020 is such a difficult year, but we certainly would not be even to the point where we are right now without those men and women who are on the front lines, who have been on the front lines, taking care of us and defending us in other ways that maybe we hadn't even ever thought imaginable. Certainly want to thank those men and women, those healthcare heroes featured here at Bucknell and across this great country.
Yeah, what a unbelievable time for families and for friends and for healthcare, and the amount of time we're spending with our families. I hope folks are taking advantage of that. I know there's been some special times even in these tough needs. I think we all probably have nurses and doctors and friends that are in that healthcare, and it's just so hard to imagine what it must be like to try to help people and coming into your doors and knowing there's not you can do. So thoughts and prayers are out there with you all, and can't thank you enough.
50-38. 11 and a half or so remaining here. Bucknell has been in front from pretty much the outset. It took a while to get the scoring started. The Bison have hit 10 three-pointers presented by Duncan. To 30 pounds of coffee to the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. Latimer's shot no. Screen fighting for a rebound, and it's not that difficult when you're 7 foot to go over the back.
Yeah.
Screen will pick up the foul here.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of contact there. He's a young freshman. He's going to have to get a reputation of being able to finish and play through those tacks. When you're a 7-footer, you're not going to get a whole lot of breaks from the whistle. So you're going to have to be strong up there, and he will.
Here's Wilson. Looking for some help on the right side. Perolin trying to find Taylor posting up, goes back out. This is Marcus Wilson off to Ben Lee. Now Taylor, the lefty from the edge of the foul line. No, Perolin, nice rebound. Back the other way, and Lehigh cuts it down to a 10-point deficit.
Part of the game is from coaching point of view is you just can't keep trading baskets with them. You got to get some stops, whether you're scoring or not. And we've been able to trade some baskets with them. You don't want to let them get some confidence. In this day and age with the threes, there's a lot that can go on real quick.
Shot for three outside is good. A Duncan three from Miles Lattimore.
Second big three for him when they've been up 10 to move it to 13. Now they got to defend it.
53-40. Jamiro Wilson
Whoa.
to Marcus Wilson, baseline cut. A little contact, no call, but gets the basket. Marcus Wilson starting to find his rhythm. Turner loses the ball, gets it back, and by losing it, he draws his defender in the air. That opens up a free look.
Yeah, he's a right-handed kid, and he still was able to get that ball to the rim on everybody. He was able to get through that little hole.
Jamiro Wilson to Marcus, now inside Taylor.
Two freshmen and a transfer out there right now, Adam, for the Bison.
Here's Turner, left side. Latimer wanted another three.
Good decision.
Instead, screen. Two dribbles, second one high, takes it left hand off the glass and in. First field goal of the game for Andre Screen.
Wearing Marcus Wilson out, he has to play the point and he has to score, and they keep changing people up on him. Again, I'm not sure what's wrong with Sinclair.
Wilson dribbled in, backed it out, wants to reset, and instead wants a timeout. And like anything that was in front of him, started in, kicked it back out, and will take the time. 15-point advantage for the Bison. Bucknell basketball from Learfield IMG College here on MyTV. Timeout presented by Domino's. Coach, you've got these newcomers. You talk about screen. Deuce Turner's an interesting one to me. 2,400 plus points during his high school career.
Right.
You bring that freshman in, and this is a young man who's been his team, been his offense, and he has had complementary players around him in high school.
Yeah.
How difficult for a player is that kind of transition where you are the show to now coming in and you have to learn a new system and you're a complementary piece to juniors and seniors, and that transition has to be difficult, but they all go through it.
Yeah, well, they'll do a great job of keeping his confidence offensively. That's why you come to Bucknell. I mean, they'll go up and down, and he'll be able to play there. What they're trying to do is instill in him some defensive intensity, some of the things that maybe his athleticism got him away with at times, in high school. And as he gets that, he'll be a complete player. But boy, you can just see it in him, the kind of player that he can be and what he needs to do. And it's wow.
John Meeks with a three-pointer from just inside the logo. No good.
Deep, deep, deep.
Underneath, ball kicked around. Parolin will corral. Shot swatted by Newman. Back the other way. 2-on-1 break. Funk to Meeks. Some contact. Take him down to the floor. He'll head to the free throw line for a couple. The foul to be called against Evan Taylor. Now, every one of these kids was either the best player in their high school program or one of the two best players or three best players. Maybe not just their program, but their region, their section, their state in a lot of cases. So they all have this adjustment. It's not like every single one of them can go from being the scorer in high school to step into that the scorer role or that rebounder role when they get to college.
You're so right, Adam. And one of the things you should look at any program in the country, look at that program and what kind of success that they've had over time, and you'll see that there's some programs that allow the young kids to be able to get their feet wet and come in, and they're building them in, and then there's programs where kids have to come in and play right away and can go. But when you're coming into college like that and you're being recruited, you usually know exactly what, some idea of what your role is going to be, and it may take a little bit of time. An injury may allow you to get out there and you shine and you get thrown in again. A lot of different scenarios, but you're absolutely right. These kids were all great high school players.
Jamiro Wilson loses his defender. Xander Rice, check that. Walter Ellis called for a foul here on Nick Lynch. And, there are exceptions. You look at the major programs that start 5 freshmen for a year and then they move on. There are exceptions to it, but for everybody else, you're looking at the transition, the adjustment.
Well, look at some of the big programs, and the Bucknell people know, you take a kid like Sistina, a place like Kentucky, they'll always have somebody like him, and he's a good player. But a lot of you talk to John Cal, a lot of the things that he does there is bringing in some veteran people that have been around the game, that knows what it takes when you have all this good young talent. So everybody has a little different personality. Our guy down at Villanova in Jay Wright, he has a culture down there where he's bringing in kids, and maybe they're not all the 5-star, but they're pretty darn good players that he's bringing in. But he's looking for a certain thing in his program, a certain kind of kid that's going to fit in the way they play and the way that what their style is. And programs like that really are able to establish a personal identity of their team, and that's the kind of kids that he gets.
Here's Xander Rice to the free throw line. That foul, the 7th called against Lehigh here in the half with 8:06 remaining. Last trip down the floor, the Mountain Hawks got a bucket from Marcus Wilson. Put him in front of all scorers for Lehigh now with 12 points. Nick Lynch is in double figures. Those are the only two. Jamiro Wilson has 9. Evan Taylor with 9 to pace Lehigh. Bucknell's lead, however, is at 15. A couple of free throws good for Rice. Marcus Wilson double teamed, leave it out for Amaladoun, and his pivot, pre-spin move, called for the travel. It's a turnover by Lehigh. 61-46, a timeout on the floor. Bucknell in front. This is Bison basketball from Learfield IMG College on MyTV.
You're watching Bucknell Bison basketball on MyTV WQMY.
Geisinger is proud to be the official sports medicine and orthopedics provider of the Bucknell Bison. It's part of our commitment to more than 40 university and high school athletic programs across Pennsylvania in communities we serve. Schedule an appointment at geisinger.org/sports. Bison basketball also brought to you by Fairfield. There's a reason why you come here. With every visit, we embrace our customers like family. We're the name you've trusted for over 33 years. Fairfield isn't just any dealership, we're the area's most trusted dealership. Fairfield, for fantastic deals, you're going to love us. Adam Marco, Coach Pat Flannery alongside you here on MyTV today for Bison basketball. We're back in a couple of weeks to see Lehigh and Bucknell play again. At least that's the schedule. We'll see. So far, it's been mostly Bucknell. Lehigh's had a couple of runs here and there, but that gap has only grown a little bit further between the two teams. Both have hit 20 shots from the floor. Bucknell is 20 of 45, Lehigh's 20 of 53. The biggest difference, however, where those shots are falling from. The Bison are 11 from 23 from three-point range. It's a lot of coffee, thanks to Duncan. Lehigh is 1 for 9 from three-point range, and they were 0 for 7 at the half. So even with this deficit expanding, they're not changing their game. They're not launching 3 after 3. Just 2 3-point attempts in the opening 12 minutes and 9 seconds of this second half.
Well, you're going to be who you are. You're not going to change because you had a dry spell. You can change up defenses, you can change personnel, but you're still going to do what you do. And what's happened today particularly is Screen and Newman have done a good job on the interior of protecting the basket, and that's where Lehigh is going to, if they're going to be successful, they're going to have to get some shots at the rim. They're not a three-point shooting team, and they've been able to defend them there.
Case in point, Lehigh shooting 34% from three-point range this season. Opposition shooting near 40%. Lynch loses a defender who wasn't really interested in defending. He was trying to find his man.
Yeah, he just loves that 15-footer and settles for that.
Shot was no good. Bucknell back the other way. Newman wanted to give it to Funk, faked it on him, then eventually finds it. Funk, however, couldn't tightrope the baseline. Will step out, give it back to Lehigh. A couple of turnovers exchanged.
I do like the fact, though, that they're taking it, or they're driving the basketball and going inside and kicking out and not just settling on the perimeter. I think Coach Davis has to be pleased with their aggressiveness off the dribble.
Marcus Wilson.
Not pleased there. They all turned their head, and Wilson just took his man.
We'll head to the free throw line. Marcus Wilson has a Mountain Hawk high 12 points. These will be his first free throw attempts, however, here this afternoon. 5 of 6 from the line. And this is quiet to me as I glance at the stat sheet. Bucknell is 10 of 12 from the free throw line. They've been there that much, but it hasn't been a consistency. Right. They've gotten the points. Meeks out.
Right. I also think it's interesting as you watch around the league and watching the different teams, even to this year, with the way it is, these kids that are seniors, like a kid like Wilson or Meeks, you know, the guys that have been around, don't you feel, Adam, like there's a sense of urgency because they don't know what's going to happen next? I know, you know, there's some NCAA rules. They're expanding that whether kids can play or not. But a place like this, a lot of these kids are getting ready to go on with their life. It's not like you're going to the NBA. And I get a feeling, you know, as you play these games, it can just see it in some of them, which is really a good thing. But this Wilson plays so hard, didn't have a great first half, and he's just out there, the ball's in his hands all the time, and he's trying to make something happen.
Hits both on this attempt. On his missed first shot, there was a foul, sent him back to the line. 61-49. You know, you don't know the schedule next week. You don't even necessarily know the schedule come tomorrow.
Yeah.
But at 1-3 for Lehigh and 0-4 for Bucknell, from a purely basketball sense, there's urgency because these teams don't want to fall further behind, even with the change in how the conference is playing and within the divisions. You don't want to see your record go that far south that quickly.
Well, I'm not even sure about record as much as it's gaining some confidence as you go into playoffs and, you know, and what you're going to do. You know, the way this thing is going to be set up, you got to be playing your best ball. And the other thing, though, with Lehigh, you know, we said about them being 1-3. I mean, you know, their win came, a kid hit 29, 30-footer with no time left on the clock, Lafayette full court. So they've been a team that they're trying to find their identity as well, too. So you can see both coaches playing a lot of players. And when we go away from this today, as we mentioned about those plus-minus charts and all, we go away from today, both coaches got to be pleased on some of the players. Not again that this one's far from over, but both coaches have to be pleased with getting some quality time from some guys that maybe weren't the people we were talking about at the beginning.
There's a brief break there before Paul Newman shoots some free throws. There was a slick spot on the floor where at least they thought there was. They couldn't identify where. Some of the COVID protocols for these players in the facility are certainly very interesting as to how you clean that up. At halftime, they lowered both baskets. They cleaned the baskets down, which you don't typically see.
Yeah.
That low for three, and he hits.
Yeah, he's a St. Benedict kid. We've had a couple good players from over there. Walter Karavanik, great program, a winner. Kids won't go away.
61-52. Lead was as large as 15. Funk pivots around and finds the right touch there. Back to an 11-point lead.
Good aggressive senior move by a senior leader. They needed something inside. They weren't going to settle for a three. I love to see those kind of plays.
That low drives. Finds himself one-on-one with Newman. Shot's no good, but Lynch is there for the rebound and putback.
I'm not sure the big kid's not going to be in a lot of foul trouble. He gets up and sets those screens, and the guards are moving before he gets there. He's going to have some foul trouble.
Funk from the foul line, kicks it to the right corner. Here's Ellis trying to find somebody inside. Loses it, gets it back, finds an open Andrew Funk for three. Another dunk in three from Andrew Funk. Phenomenal from behind the arc. 5 out of 8. Andrew Funk, a big afternoon here for Bucknell. 66-54 with the timeout on the floor. Domino's timeout gives us a chance to update our Duncan threes. 12 for 24 from three-point range. Bucknell has hit 22 shots, 12 from three-point range.
Yeah. Well, we said going in, and anybody that's watching our broadcast or knows the Bison, the fellas can shoot the basketball. Where their biggest concern has been is they've turned the ball over, and they've rushed shots where they haven't taken the best shots. And I'll go back to what we said at the beginning of today. I think a guy like John Meek's presence, allows them. Now, Lehigh's giving them some open looks. I'm not sure Andrew Funk is ever going to get the looks he got today. He's really found some open ones. But you have to say that the confidence and the kids, the way they played a real good first half against Lafayette. And remember, we're only a couple games into the season. Even though we feel like we're in the season and, it's January, they haven't been together that long in playing other people. And in basketball, unless you're playing other people, it's a whole different cat than it is scrimmaging a football or something else.
To your point, 5th game of the year. This would be, first week of December, maybe mid-December on a normal year?
Yeah.
Lehigh
You can practice. Answer. Yeah, you can practice against each other all day long. There he goes down that lane again.
Funk around to Latimer.
Good.
Ellis in the left corner, and back around we go. We get a contact foul here, and Andrew Funk might have rolled an ankle somewhere along the way in, hobbling his way out. You mentioned the turnovers, and that's been one of the issues for Bucknell so far. They're averaging 14 turnovers per game. They're at 14 turnovers right now in this game. Now, I know as a coach, the answer is 0. What's an ideal number for a program that's going to be a winning program? Are you in that 10 to 14 range? Are you around 10, under?
Well, a lot of it has to do the way you play. Bucknell goes up and down, so I'm sure Coach Davis, if he gets 12 turnovers or in that area, he's going to be fine. The key to the turnovers, what kind of turnovers? Are they turnovers because you're trying to make something you can't do? Are they feeding the post? What kind of turnovers? And I watched them. Some of their turnovers I know Coach can't be happy about because they've been turnovers careless. So that depends on a lot of that. It's like a lot of statistics, that we talk about. Lehigh's not going to make a lot of threes. Where they've gotten in trouble today is they've missed a lot of their twos when they've run good stuff to be in the game. And so you could do a lot of things with that. But yeah, the 12 in that area, if they're good aggressive turnovers, then you're fine.
It's a big three from Marcus Wilson. It's just the third hit by Lehigh today. Newman to Funk, 66-59, 3:50 to go. Shot no good. Newman gets the rebound and put back. There's not a whole lot that Nick Lynch wanted to do right there. Just stand his ground and maybe the foul comes to him.
Yeah, he's not gonna jump with him and pin him. But that's a big boy move by a guy that's been around. They have to be pleased with Newman.
Marcus Wilson drives. Shot doesn't fall, but the foul is going to be called. Newman will pick up the foul, and we've got a timeout on the floor. 1-1 coming up after this break. Bucknell's advantage 68-59. Bucknell basketball from Learfield, IMG College on MyTV. Back at Soika Pavilion, apologies for the technical issues. During that break, Lehigh has caught up just a little bit. Marcus Wilson hit a couple of free throws, hit one of two actually, 68-60. Ellis misses on the way back. Lynch about an 8-footer, 68-62. Now it's Ellis at the free throw line. Bucknell in front, holding on to that lead, which was once 15 points, has been brought down as close as 4.
Yeah, look, the feel here is that Bucknell had their way where they were going with it, but a couple missed threes and a couple old-fashioned threes, and Lehigh's right back in it.
69-62. We're all caught up. There's Jamiro Wilson, has the ball stripped. Bucknell back the other way. Rice, bounce pass Latimer. Latimer has it knocked out of his hand, and he's fouled headed to the free throw line. Jamiro Wilson picking up the foul.
Great hands by Rice, stripping. They tried to isolate Wilson in the middle and spread the floor, and he just turned, and good play by Rice. Good unselfish pass.
Sends Miles Latimer to the line. Latimer, 10 points per game in 27.5 minutes through the first 4 contests this year. First free throw is no good.
Well, obviously they have a lot of confidence in him, Adam. I mean, coach is playing him under 2 minutes for Ellis, so he's fit in well with them, and his experience is probably something Coach Davis is really counting on, that he's been through the grind of the American East.
Second shot is good. Latimer, native of Fairfax, Virginia, played at Stony Brook before transferring here to Bucknell. Marcus Wilson in the corner, loses Newman. Off the glass, Meeks was there but couldn't put any contact against the ball. 70-64, under 2 minutes to go.
Big possession. Let's see what they do with Funk back in and going side to side. I expect the ball to Andrew Funk to be involved in this some way.
Outside and around. Latimer. Into the paint. Stops, loses a defender, scoops it in. Left hand bucket and one. Miles Latimer hits and heads to the free throw line.
They isolated Betlow, Adam, on that. They just don't have the size to compete with them. That's a good dribble penetration. So good to see them going something at the glass, though. Since you're shooting free throws, get on the glass. You shoot free throws from here on out.
Shot's good. Well, the last time we talked about the free throws, they were 10 of 12. They've missed a few since. 13 of 19 for the game. Wilson off a Lynch pick, drives through a double team, and a little touch foul will send him to the line. Xander Rice walks away, shaking his head no. The answer is yes.
Well, they're spreading the floor, trying to dribble drive and stop the clock, get on the line, because, again, they're not going to do it from 3 this late in the game. So the clock stop for them is a big thing.
First free throw is good. Lehigh's been very good from the free throw line as well, now 10 of 13. Reed Fenton wants to come onto the floor. Gets a last-second comment and then pushed aside. And a lane violation called. 73-65 with a minute 25 to go. Reed Fenton will not check in. He went to the table, tried to, got pulled aside by Coach Reed, and then sent back.
How many minutes has Marcus Wilson played?
Marcus Wilson at 24 minutes and, or rather 24 points, 35 minutes.
I was going to say.
Strike that and reverse it.
He has a lot of minutes out there.
Rice.
Good decision.
To Latimer. Allow the rest of the team to make their way down the floor. 8-point lead. Double team, heavy pressure. Funk draws. Players near him will kick it across. 8 to shoot for the Bison. There's Rice. Walks around, no call. Long three for Meeks, just throwing up a prayer with about 3 left on the shot clock. And a foul called here. Paul Newman pushed down to the floor. And they're going to get Nick Lynch with the foul. Lynch is trying to plead his case. But Newman pushed aside and will head to the free throw line. Saw a little bit of contact there as Betlow was trying to take it the other way as quickly as possible.
Well, the good thing is, Adam, they're not going to the monitor because that could take 2 minutes.
Officials will now converge.
Oh, they are going to go to the monitor. It was a bump, the two of them. He jumped. Lynch is not a jumper. He stayed on the ground. He bumped him. And I almost went a whole game without them going to the monitor.
Oh, you don't want to break the streaks.
No, you don't want to break streaks.
I want to thank our friends at Geisinger. They are proud to be the official sports medicine and orthopedics provider of the Bucknell Bison. Part of our commitment to more than 40 university and high school athletic programs across Pennsylvania in the communities we serve. Schedule an appointment at geisinger.org/sports. 73-65 with time on the floor here as the officials are reviewing that to determine whether Lynch did in fact pick up his 4th foul. It would send Newman to the free throw line, and the 8-point lead, opportunity to put this one away, in theory, with 54 seconds to go.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely going to get a free throw. I think what they're looking for is to see what kind of foul that was. Newman went down, pretty good like a shot. I think it would take a little more to knock him down like that. But he did foul him, Lynch, and he'll shoot a free throw here. It's interesting, as you look at the teams and again, these rotations. Bucknell hasn't, this is the first time they're putting somebody away. So, you have to learn how to put people away. And they're trying to put them away here.
Speaking of putting them away, and a final score, the Bucknell women come back for a 68-60 win on the road at Lehigh. Scored 21 in the 4th quarter, outscoring the Mountain Hawks 21-9 for a 68-60 win. They were down at the half. They were down at the end of the 3rd quarter, but a monstrous 4th keeps the women perfect at 5-0.
Big win. I don't think Lehigh had lost a ball game.
They were 4-0. Both teams were heading into play today, and they'll play here tomorrow at Soika. First shot, no. Second, no. So Newman can't extend that lead, misses both free throws. 48 seconds to go. Wilson drives to a double team. Turn around, lose Latimer, and find a jumper from the corner. Timeout taken by Lehigh. This is a big game for Marcus Wilson. It was a slow start for Lynch and Wilson. And you're looking at the first half, these two kids combining for 36.3 points per game. They had 6 combined at halftime. Well, your stars get there. Your stars will score. 24 for Wilson, 14 for Lynch. It's a 6-point advantage. One more break to go. Let's see what happens when we come back on MyTV. Bison had the inbound, but commit a foul trying to just find some separation. And it will send Reed Fenton to the free throw line. 73-67, 37.2 seconds remaining here in regulation. And it is Reed Fenton to the free throw line.
It's what I talked about as we even went along here earlier here. Unless you know how to close people out, coach is working hard trying to get get the Bison to finish this, and there would be no quit on either side of these. The kind of kids have, they're going to play it to the end. That was a little bit of a careless pass right there.
1 for 2 from the line for Fenton. He was a Patriot League all-rookie team player last year. that free throw, his first here in 19 minutes this afternoon. His first point of the day. Here's a foul. It'll send Deuce Turner to the line.
Yeah.
Nick Lynch was out. He'll come back in.
Yeah, Fenton's a kid that talking to Coach Reed is a kid that they're looking to be able to rebound and pass and do a lot of those solid things for them. But he hasn't shot the ball great, and they have to find a three-pointer, somebody that can be consistent from the perimeter.
Officials converge here on the foul as Marcus Wilson walks away dejected.
Well, they obviously, I'm sure it's not from the coaching staff, but the kids didn't know who they were fouling because I'm not sure the Deuces missed a free throw. So they fouled arguably Bucknell's best foul shooter.
Turner is perfect from the line so far this season. Out of that quick break.
They got 6 guys out there. I don't think they can do that.
Well, Wilson just picked up his 5th.
Somebody forgot to tell him. Everybody's not sure where we're at.
Deuce Turner, 13 for 13 from the line.
I sound like one of those NFL guys. He hasn't thrown an interception, and well, it's good that he missed. If you're going to miss one, miss it with 27.
73-68. 27.7 to go. Second shot, no good. Missed them both. Vetlow, bounce pass off to Fenton. Fenton driving to the baseline, trying to get around Funk, instead Lynch. Pass inside, Jamiro Wilson off the glass and in. 73-70, 13 seconds.
Oh.
Rice, foul.
They didn't want him to get out of that double team and foul him a little bit earlier.
They had that chance. They had him pinned on that far side.
Yeah.
4th foul called here.
It's got to keep growing their confidence. Keep playing, getting better.
3-point lead, 8 seconds to go. Xander Rice at the line for 2. The first is good.
It's big for him. Close it out.
Andrew Funk walks away, talking to the rest of his team about how to react. Second good. Timeout taken by Bucknell. That's a 5-point advantage for the Bison. This game was as much as a 15-point lead for Bucknell.
Yeah.
Got as close as 4, then a little run, down to 3 at 73-70, and back with just enough separation.
Quietly, too, right? I mean, they chipped, and I said to you a couple times, look, that's a 6-point, that's a 7, and it just seemed like the flow was going in Bucknell's way, but Lehigh again. They've always been tough. They're going to score. What Coach Davis is doing here now. I mean, a lot of people say it is 8 seconds, 5-point game. But when you're trying to win and you're trying to get better, it's a great teaching spot right here. So I'm sure he's going over who he wants to have the ball where, and this will give them a lot of confidence when they get in this situation again.
8.2 seconds remaining on the clock. Bucknell will drop all the way back, pick it up at half court.
Yep, make him catch it below the foul line, right there. Now get back. Boom. Good job.
Vetlow crosses at 6 seconds, guarded by Turner. Off to Fenton. Shot for 3, touches nothing, and that will do it. It's a 75-70 final. Coach Davis, Coach Reed wave at each other, say we'll see you tomorrow. Bucknell gets the win, their first of the year. The Bison are 1-4 in the Patriot League and now 1-2 in the Central Division. The Lehigh Mountain Hawks fall to 1-4. They are 1-2 within the division as well. 75-70 the final stats, and update of our Duncan threes to come. Stick with us here on MyTV.
You're watching Bucknell Bison basketball on MyTV WQMY.
$75-70 the final. The Bison get the win here at Soika, their first victory of the season. Our opportunity to catch up with player of the game, Andrew Funk. 18 points, phenomenal from 3-point range. Andrew, great job here today. First victory of the season. Obviously, this is the most unusual year of basketball anybody's seen. What does it mean for this program to get that first win to start this momentum forward?
Yeah, I mean, this is a season, if anything, it's about toughness. And, we've obviously faced, everyone in the country is facing the same challenges that we are. But then, starting off 0-4 is tough. So this season is going to be all about who responds the best. There's going to be a lot of adversity thrown your way. And unfortunately for us, it was thrown our way early. But I think that's really good for us, especially getting that early in the season. We saw how resilient we are tonight, and hopefully we can keep it going moving forward.
4 out of 7 from three-point range. A couple of big shots in the first half for you, a couple of big shots in the second half. How much do players feed off each other? Because we've seen some games where you're not hitting those threes, but here today, one player, and it's contagious, one after the other.
Oh, yeah, especially right now with these empty gyms, your energy's got to be created by yourselves, and I think we did a great job of that today. Our benches talked, we were loud on the floor, and like you said, once that first shot goes down, those next couple, guys shooting them are feeling more confident and more likely to fall. So, no, that's definitely a huge thing for us is feeding off each other for sure.
Andrew, congratulations. Really, really great to see you with a smile on your face. Hey, tell me a little bit. We know what to expect from you. You've done it over and over. What did it mean to have John back today for kids like Ellis and Xander and some of these other cats, the younger guys? You've been there before. What does it mean? I know what it means to you, but what about the rest of the team?
Yeah, it's awesome for a host of reasons. Obviously, Meeks is unbelievably talented in a lot of ways, but just the intensity, the energy, the experience he brings is something that I think goes a long way. Like you said, we got a lot of guys stepping into new roles this year, and Meeks is a very intense, one of the most competitive people I know, and bringing that to the table and feeding off that was huge for us for sure.
Great.
Congratulations on the win. Get a breather. Run it back tomorrow down at Lehigh.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right. Congrats.
That's Andrew Funk, our player of the game. 18 points in 34 minutes this afternoon as the Bison get a 75-70 win over the Mountain Hawks. Big part of this game, of course, three-point range. 12 of 26 from three for Bucknell today. And thanks to our friends at Duncan, that is a phenomenal donation to the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. 36 pounds of coffee donated because of this great partnership. For every one of those threes at Soika, the opportunity to donate 3 pounds of coffee to the Central PA Food Bank. Phenomenal job by Funk, phenomenal job by Bucknell here today. They come out of here with their first victory of the season. 45% from the floor, 46% from three. They played it well throughout, a phenomenal job.
Well, I did. I think it's a great win, and you're going to turn around tomorrow, and it's going to come back to the same thing. Lehigh's half court and Bucknell's rhythm and continuity.
Bison have Lehigh tomorrow, Colgate next weekend, and we're back here in 2 weeks on Sunday, January 31st, 4 o'clock tip, Bucknell and Lehigh. I want to thank our entire crew from MyTV. For Coach Pat Flannery, I'm Adam Marco. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. It's a 75-70 final. The Bison get the win. Bucknell basketball from Learfield IMG College on MyTV.
This has been a presentation from Learfield IMG College.